Hi, City Manager David Dillner here with things to know, what's happening in Laredo. Well, this week there's not really a whole lot going on to provide an update on, so I thought I'd take a moment to explain one of the key questions we get this time around. What is sewer averaging? Well, I'm glad you asked. So today I've prepared a little bit of a chart to help explain what sewer averaging is. And hopefully, at the end of this, you'll understand why the city does sewer averaging, and two, the benefit to citizens when we do sewer averaging. So, the first thing is, the chart that you see here on the whiteboard is a chart that shows water usage for a customer that uses water in the summertime for irrigation purposes or for other outside purposes. So, when we're talking about sewer averaging, we're talking about a very important thing. In the wintertime, generally, people use less water than they do in the summertime. I mean, if you think about it, it makes perfect sense. You're not necessarily filling your pool in the winter, you're not watering your yard in the winter, and you're probably not doing that cool slip and slide thing that you might remember from the 80s in your front yard in the wintertime. So in the wintertime, we have what we would call essential water uses, meaning toilets are flushing, sinks are being filled for dishes, dishwashers are operating, and of course the illustrious washing machine is cleaning your clothes. So these are essential uses that you'll do throughout the entire year. So if we look at the chart on the whiteboard, what we see is that in January and December, even February, we have lower water volumes as evidenced by these blue areas within our chart. Now, as you can see, beginning in the spring months, March, April, water volumes begin to increase, particularly if you're irrigating your yard, filling your pool, or again, using that cool slip and slide. So water volumes increase quite substantially, and then they begin to fall off as fall begins to approach. The leaves start to change, the wind gets a little cooler and crisper, and people begin to winterize their systems to prevent a disaster from happening where they would have to call the plumber and get their plumbing repaired. So that begins to drop off, and now we're back to what we would call essential water use once again. So if we break this down, the city's ordinance requires us to do sewer averaging in the months of December, January, and February. Now, just to be clear, this is the volume usage, the actual water that you use during those months. So when you turn the tap on, flush the toilet, take a shower, in the months of December, January, and February, we're measuring that water volume, and that's what we will base our sewer average on. So what does this actually mean? Like, what does this tangibly mean for you as a resident? Well, that's what we have the green up here for, green meaning money. So at the end of the day, all of this means dollar savings for you and your household. So if we do sewer averaging, as I've just described, whereby the city averages your sewer usage based on the months of December, January, and February, your sewer, this is actually my house within the city limits here, my sewer average would cost me $15.49 per month. That's going to follow me for the entire year. So we average, and then that sewer averaging amount will follow me throughout the rest of the year on my bill. So in other words, my sewer rate will be based on $15.49 per month. Now, what happens if the city didn't do sewer averaging? What would my bill look like then? Great question. So in that case, we would look at the actual usage. And at my house, this means that my bill would go from $15.49 a month for sewer all the way up to $57.40 per month for sewer usage. That's a difference of $41.91. And that again would be based upon my actual water usage for each month. So of course it will vary depending on, different months, and maybe I water a little bit more here, or maybe I take a little more longer shower this month. Whatever the case may be, generally on average, it'll probably be about $40 more per month. And if you multiply that by 12, that's quite a little bit of money. So by sewer averaging, we save our customers money and provide them with some year-long relief. Now you might say, well, that's all fine and dandy, but what happens if I'm a new resident or I have a water leak in these lower months? Great question. All right, so if you're a new resident to town, your sewer average is going to be based upon the city's average residential usage, 5,600 gallons. So that's about $20 per month that you'll pay for sewer for the first year you're in town. Then, once we get to the lower volume months, we'll average your household account, and then the next year you'll have your very own sewer average based upon your low months. Now, if you have a water leak during those low months, here's what you do. First of all, take care of the leak. Identify where the leak's coming from, and if you need to, call a plumber and get it fixed. Then what you can do is bring your receipts down to City Hall, and we'll make an adjustment for you. Because if you did have a leak, we can actually adjust back probably to a prior year's average so that that will follow you through instead of this big number that you're going to have to carry over for the entire year. The fact of the matter is, if you have a water leak at your house, it's largely not your fault, and we don't want you to be penalized for that for the remainder of the year. So if you do have a water leak, or you had a situation where maybe a toilet was running a little longer than normal or something, call City Hall and find out what your options are. But at the end of the day, we can adjust your average to make sure that you're not penalized for an undue use of water for the entire year. That wouldn't be fun. So the way we do this is the city will bill you for volume usage in December, January, and February, but bear in mind that those bills will be 1 month delayed as we bill after you use the water. So your bills will be actually coming to you in January, February, and March. All right, so sewer averaging in summary comes down to this. By using the sewer average, we can save you a little bit of money on your water rate for the entire year. Now, I guess I would back up and say not your water rate, but your sewer rate. So your water bill is going to have your water volume charge. It's going to have your readiness to serve charge for water. It's going to have your sewer rate based upon your volume, and then it's going to have your sewer readiness to serve, and then it's also going to have your refuse rate. So we're only talking about the sewer volume charge here that is applied to a sewer average. But it's based upon your actual water and your averaged water usage, as I've already described. And the primary reason for that is very simple. Your household account is based upon the water that goes through your house, and the way we know that is it's based upon the amount of water that goes through your water meter. We don't have water meters or sewer meters for your sewer usage. So when you flush the toilet, we don't actually know how much water leaves your house. So what we do know is that generally speaking, most of the water that enters your house will come out in the form of wastewater, whether that be dishwater, toilet water, shower water, or even a hose for that matter. Most of the water that goes into your house will eventually come out in the form of wastewater. So that's why we utilize the actual or the water volumes instead of sewer volumes. We just don't have a way of measuring the amount of wastewater that comes out of one's household. So I think that's basically it for the sewer average explanation. If you have any questions, feel free to call City Hall at 321-9100, whether it be questions on sewer averaging or your individual account. And always remember, if you have a water leak, especially during the low volume times of the year, to call City Hall to get your sewer average adjusted. Again, that number is 321-9100, and we'll be glad to walk you through that process. Well, that's all I got for things to know, what's happening on the radio. Now you should understand sewer averaging, and we'll see you next time. Have a great weekend.